Ladies and gentlemen, after months of leaks, rumors, renders, and non-stop hype, the moment has finally arrived. Samsung has officially unveiled the Galaxy Z Trifold. And yes, it is every bit as wild as we imagined. Hey everyone, welcome back to ZaidiEsTech. You're here with Zaidi, and today we're diving straight into one of the most anticipated and experimental devices Samsung has ever created. No fluff, no dragged-out build-up, just a clear, honest breakdown of what this futuristic foldable actually brings to the table. From the massive 10-inch inner display to the dual-hinge engineering and that surprisingly familiar camera system, this is Samsung taking a bold swing at the future of mobile productivity. So grab your tea, settle in, and let's take a closer look at the Galaxy Z Trifold, because this one might just redefine what a smartphone can be. It does look like they're going to have at least a version of this. It kind of has like that carbon fiber look to it, but there you go. There is that large inner screen, hole punch selfie camera, cover display in the middle, camera setup. Looks very similar to the Z Fold 7, and there's good reason for that. So, let's just run through this stuff. So, when unfolded, you've got a 10-inch Dynamic AMOLED 2XQXGA plus display, 120Hz refresh rate, of course, 1600 nits of peak brightness on that inner display, which I think is probably going to be fine. I would like to have seen it be a little bit higher. We've seen 2600 on some of these other Z Folds, so would like to have seen that. The cover display there in the middle is going to have 2600 nits of peak brightness, which is kind of like I just alluded to what we've seen on some other devices. That is a 6.5-inch display measured diagonally. They say that this device is as thin as 3.9 millimeters somewhere on the device, which of course the Fold 7 is very thin. It is 4.2 millimeters, even thinner than that. It does weigh 309 grams. That's almost 100 grams more than the Z Fold 7, but that's not super shocking given what this thing is. And they've also included IP48 water resistance, which does match the Z Fold 7. I should also mention that when it's closed, folded, it is about 12.9 millimeters, which is definitely a lot thicker than the Z Fold 7, but it's really not that bad when you put things into context. The Galaxy Z Fold 5 was 13.4 millimeters, so we are right in the territory of the Z Fold 5, and we're talking about a device that doesn't have a 7.6-inch screen. It has a 10-inch screen. There are 2 hinges on this phone. I think that's more than good enough. Now, as you've noticed and you've probably seen in many different forms already, this is a device where the 2 halves fold in on top of one another, and that is done to sort of keep that inner screen safe and secure. Now, by doing this, you only have effectively 2 form factors, 2 ways to use the device. You can use the cover display, or you can use the inner display. Devices like the Huawei Mate XT that fold in an in and out mechanism, sort of a Z shape. You could unfold it part of the way or all of the way, so they're giving up that sort of additional pseudo form factor in exchange for keeping that inner screen protected a little bit more. When it comes to the actual performance of this device, you're going to be getting a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and of course, as you can see on the Samsung newsroom table, this is for Galaxy, so whatever customization they do with that. You have 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, or 112 if you want to go up to the higher model, the higher storage capacity. You do have a 5,600 milliamp hour battery, and it does have 3 cells, so this is a phone that is in sort of 3 pieces, so there's a bit of battery in each one of these sections, and they add up to 5,600 milliamp hours, and they do charge at 45 watts, which is faster than we have on the Z Fold 7, so maybe a little bit of a hint. Are we going to get 45 watts on the Z Fold 8? That would be pretty nice. The camera system, like I mentioned earlier, looks like it's pretty much lifted directly from the Z Fold 7. 200 megapixel primary sensor, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 10 megapixel telephoto, which is 3x optical zoom. I don't know what to make of the animation that we saw of zooming into 100x. I don't know if that's actually going to be possible on this thing or not. Maybe that was just sort of maybe an error in that animation, but this thing is going to be built with productivity in mind. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. You can see down here at the bottom 3 applications running side by side, and they're all going to basically be like a normal phone app. You basically have a phone times 3, so you can run 3 apps all on the screen at once, vertically oriented like that. This is absolutely fantastic, and you're not dealing with 2 little squares over on one side or something like that. Really, really good. And of course, This is going to be capable of running Samsung DeX directly on that inner screen, so prop it up with a kickstand or some sort of stand, a wireless mouse and keyboard, and you have a laptop replacement right there. Now, here's the big question. This is something that we've talked about and talked about and talked about, and again, I think we've pretty much nailed this. So, Samsung has confirmed the Trifold will launch first in South Korea on December the 12th. Now, the price, if you just sort of convert it over, is around $2,500. We'd heard rumors it'd be up to like $3,000. $2,500 is definitely going to be better. Let's wait until we get an official number before we celebrate anything, though. Following the Korean launch, the device is going to launch in China, Taiwan, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates before the end of December, but great news! Customers in the United States can expect to get their hands on the Trifold in the first quarter of 2026. Pricing hasn't been confirmed, but we're again expecting around $2,500, so that's pretty much exactly what I've been telling you guys to expect. You're going to get it in South Korea. I thought China would be a little bit sooner, but China is still coming relatively soon. US coming early next year. So, exactly what I've been telling you guys, minus China being delayed maybe a couple of weeks, but that's still pretty close, right? I feel like we did a pretty good job on this one. Of course, we've seen the device. You know, Samsung had allowed us to look at it at least a little while ago, and it did match up perfectly with the renders and with the leaks that we had been seeing. So, I think that this Trifold has actually been covered very, very well by the tech tipster, tech leaking community. So that's pretty cool to see, but I would love to hear what you guys think about this device now that we finally do have our eyes on it. Unfortunately, we really haven't had the chance to see a whole heck of a lot besides these still images. I'm sure by the time I'm posting this, we're probably going to start having videos and stuff coming out, but we'll talk about that at a later date. If it is $2,500 and it is coming Q1, do you actually have interest in purchasing such a thing? Let me know exactly how you feel about that in the comments down below, because that's going to help determine what I'm going to end up doing. That's a big investment. So, I kind of need to know from you guys what the hype level actually is. And that wraps up everything we know so far about the Samsung Galaxy Z Trifold. Honestly, this has been one of the most fascinating devices to follow, and now that we finally have the full picture straight from Samsung, the excitement is real. But now it's your turn. What do you think? Is this bold new design worth the jump, or is the price tag still a deal breaker for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and your feedback always shapes what I cover next. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay ahead of every major tech reveal, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps more than you think. And, of course, if you want to see deeper dives, hands-on reactions, and full comparisons as soon as the Trifold hits global markets, stick around. We've got a lot coming your way. This is Zaidi, you've been watching ZaidiEsTech, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep exploring tech that actually excites. Take care, and peace out.